Good morning, all. Come on, come on, come on. Yes. How's everyone?
Brilliant.
Who's jet lagged? I'm not. For a change. Okay. So, who are we? Apart from two men wearing white hoodies looking slightly deranged. We represent a company called JamJar. And I am James, and I founded the company back in 2013. I've been playing around with Macs for over 20 years, since they were beige. When deploying a Mac was copying a system folder from a CD to a hard drive. Yes, it makes me feel very old. This is my good friend, partner, colleague, Ben, who is, as you probably know, his online handle is MacMule. A very, very talented man. I can't say enough about him, and we're very lucky to have him on the team. Okay, what do we do? Well, aside from the obvious, it's in our company slogan, Apple Device Management Specialists. It's kind of a bit of a niche, really, but yes, that is what we do, because we understand and we realise that customers have issues and struggles with managing and deploying Apple technology, so we're there to help them. We are on the Apple Consultants Network. We do a lot of work with Apple directly, with SME, education, enterprise, and we do, let's say, a lot of work with Apple Retail as well. We love this guy. This guy is our friend. Munki, I think Greg's around. Is Greg in here? Is Greg in here? No? You can't see. Oh, he is at the back. Yes.
It's the red person waving at you from the back.
I can't see because the light's in my eyes. It's like, all I can see is a light up there. It looks like an angel. Can we all give a bit of a round for Greg, please? Come on. We do a lot of services. I mean, back when I was working in reseller land, we would, I was using Munki back then, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I think, something like that. But we now offer, like, to our customers, fully managed appliances that go out. So depending on what the customer wants, whether they want Jamf or whether they want Munki, they haven't got budgets, these solutions go in and they help customers succeed with their Apple equipment. Okay. As I mentioned, they're Jamf, so we do a lot of work with Jamf at the moment. So we are Jamf integrators. We're a Jamf Gold reseller, which we worked very hard to achieve, and we got that last year. We're also a Jamf managed service provider. So we have our own infrastructure. We have our own little place on the internet that we like to call home. Only over the river, actually, just where all those big buildings are, is underneath that, probably in a bunker. And that's where our data center is. And our data center forms part, which hosts this platform, which is our managed service platform, which is datajar.mobi. So again, we've got education customers, we've got business customers all on that platform itself. We own and manage every element of that platform. So hardware, right the way through to the SQL databases. So this talk, aside from two men in white hoodies, once again wittering on, this is going to be kind of our views on device management and how we're doing things. This isn't going to be a kind of trade-off between products, but we're going to be looking at the new things that are coming with Jamf Pro, and what people are actually doing out there with things like Patch. Okay, so looking at these two products here, just check my notes, hang on. Apples and oranges, these two. They both do essentially the same thing, but they do it in a very different way. Okay, they've got different ways of doing the same job, so you can't really look at them side by side.
And Jamf does stuff that's outside of Munki's kind of core focus. So we're going to try and do a fair comparison of actually looking at Munki's strengths and compare them against Jamf, which might not be too much of a fair comparison, really, but yeah. No.
So with Jamf Pro 10, there will be a new part of the product which is going to come in called Patch. Okay. Now, the team involved in that is Team Argon. R as in pirates and patch. Get it? Not my joke. Bad, and it wasn't my name either.
So that is their name, and that is where they got it from. So it made the talk quite easy to have a differentiator. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not here. This isn't a fight, okay? This is, we can all play nicely together, and we can all, you know, live in a beautiful land where Brexit doesn't exist, nor does Trump. And I was going to try and do a whole presentation about mentioning those, but it's just too, it's too raw. It's too raw.
5 minutes in.
I know, 5 minutes in. But we love these, both of these products. You know, we like Jamf, we like Munki. You know, we couldn't do what we do without those products, and without the people behind them, putting the time, the energy, and development into them, we wouldn't exist doing what we do. But again, they do things very differently. Okay, and that's what we're going to focus on. So, show of hands here. Who uses Jamf to manage your Apple estate? Okay. Who uses Munki? Who uses Munki and Jamf? Do you want to come down to the talk?
We're tired, please. But it was an even split, pretty much, between, which is cool.
Very good. So, let's pull it right back. Let's look at how these two products differ and how they deal with these items. So I'm sorry if some of you might be quite advanced and this is kind of like a bit dog food to you, but we're going to go through this just so everyone can understand. So we can import, Munki supports multiple file types that you can take in. It can take packages, it can take config profiles, it can take app bundles. We can send all these into Munki. It'll ingest them and it'll spit them out. And it will split them out into the repo, and in the repo you're going to have your files at the top there, which are going to be your packages, your config profiles, and corresponding to those files will be a package info or an XML file, which is going to generate. Okay. As an example, this is a Google Chrome DMG download from the internet. You open it up, you expand it, you can see Google Chrome there is in the root of the DMG. Okay, so usually a user would have to drag that Google Chrome app into the applications folder, and that's the way they install it. It's not really an installer, it's just a DMG with an app inside it.
But Munki has the logic of knowing how to deal with this. So if you've only ever used Jamf, then you'll know you have to do something else with this. And this is what we're trying to set the scene so that if you've used one or the other, you know a bit about both.
Okay, so this is the package info file. Let's take a little look at it. Again, it's human readable, it's XML, and you can, once you start to pull this apart, it's actually very easy to get to grips with. If we're looking here, the installer item location, so this is basically where in the repo, in the Munki repo, that file is going to exist. Now when I would have imported that Google Chrome DMG, it would have appended the version number dynamically to the end of it. Okay. And here we've got the installs array. So this is kind of like prerequisites, what it's going to be looking for. So what version of Google Chrome is, if it's already installed, this is the version we have. So it will start to do some logical checks. We can also see minimum OS versions. So if the Mac client is running 10.7, it's not going to try and install it because it doesn't meet the minimum OS version. So there's a lot of logic here already. And if you start to look at how Jamf manages those things, there's a lot of logic pre-built into this that you don't have to then reinvent, if that makes sense. So we've got another key here, copy from DMG. So we're going to say we've got the DMG here, we're going to expand it, and we're going to copy that item to the applications folder on the destination. Now we're going to be asked for items to copy. So what are we going to do? Where are we going to put it onto the system? Well, we're going to stick it in the applications folder. And you've equally got an uninstall task here. You can run scripts and stuff at this point, so you could run a script afterwards or pre-flight or post-flight. But you've basically, the mechanism to remove that item is to do that, so remove copied items. So, same process, but for Jamf, okay? So we've got the Jamf Pro server, and we've also got Casper Admin. Now, depending on your deployment, you may not use Casper Admin at all. You may just upload your package straight into the web interface. It's important to note here that that Jamf doesn't really handle the app bundles in the same way that Munki does. So the only app bundle it will actually recognise is the macOS .apps install bundle, which is the install ESD media basically. That's so you can do an in-place upgrade on your Macs. That works actually really, really well. But if you just drag an app into Casper Admin, doesn't like that. Okay. So we've got ourselves a DMG here. It's the same DMG that we had a minute ago that we used in Munki. And just to give you an explanation, so we've got essentially the app at the root of the DMG file. Okay. Now, if I'm to drag this straight into Jamf and copy that to the same relative destination on the Mac, where's it going to put that? It's going to put it at // It's going to put it at the root of the hard drive. Okay, there's no logic there. It's kind of a bit dumb, but that dumbness sometimes is actually to your favour, if that makes sense. You can use it to your advantage. But you can, you're going to need to repackage this basically. So if you just deploy that, you're going to see that the Jamf server is going to verify, it's going to check something, make sure everything matches up, then it's going to basically deliver that app to the destination you specify. Okay. Now to get, as I mentioned, to get that Google Chrome to install properly on your Mac, you're going to need to run it through this little tool here, which comes with Jamf Pro, which is Composer, or you can use your package making tool of your choice.
Composer's much loved.
It's loved. So much love for Composer in this room. For these jobs, you know, once you start off in your admin journey, it's just a nice entry level package making tool. Okay, don't think I've ever used that window, so I cancel it.
But this is the bit that window, the snapshots, is the bit that I think turns people off Composer. You load it up first time round, you do a snapshot, you deploy it, it's like you break something. And like James says, first window, generally click cancel. Unless you're testing something, but otherwise you end up causing yourself issues.
Yeah. Okay, so again, drag Google Chrome in to the Composer window, create your package where you want it to go, so you can always go to applications, set your permissions, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't take you long to realise this is quite painful and not very scalable. So you take your package as you built it, send it across to Casper Admin, I'll go to the JSS, and then from there, packages are going to the repo, and it will check some of the files. The file checksums are going to the SQL database, and if the admin writes out any metadata, that will go out into the JSS also.
Thank you. So that's some of the basics of kind of roughly how importing the items works, going through the manual way. And let's look at how we do the installations of things. So let's look at how, first of all, Munki does this. There's a little video to explain how Munki kind of works with this.
Any jungling guy?
I got the Tarzan and Jada jungle just swinging on the vine this morning, mate. I'm telling you, this could turn Ari Krishna into a bad boy.
Any questions? You can sometimes tell the slides I had more input into, maybe, if you see my talks. No, there is. I always attempt to put a method to the madness. So, with Munki, clients have a manifest, which can be, a lot of people can say is a bit like a shopping list. And within there, there'll be different items. Now, the shopping list will also have items that are available in different catalogues or shops. So there we go, if you can see, the records has got Chrome and VLC, the icon mark's got Firefox and Flash. So what I was trying to get to with the record shop is, it's like going to record shop and saying, do you have the latest version of Chrome? Oh, yes, I've got this one. And then the Mac goes, oh, I've already got that. I've already got that in my collection, and then comes back an hour later or so. Does that make sense, kind of? Am I wrong?
Loosely, but we got the record shop reference in there. It's good.
The vague jungle music reference was okay.
Yes.
Okay. When items available to install, Managed Software Center can come up to let you know. And it'll let you know if there's an application running that's stopping the install as well. So if you try and hit the update button, it'll say, oh, no, hang on, please quit Firefox for me. And you can also have things that require a logout. So it tries to install, and up here we're trying to install Photoshop CC, and it's asking to do a logout install. And what that looks like on the client side, you get a nice little Munki status banner that comes up to tell them exactly what's actually happening. So we look at Jamf and how we're going to do this on the Jamf side. So one of the big things with Jamf is actually your smart groups. So you don't put the manifest in, you don't put some of the logic and the detail in the manifest which goes into the catalog, which the client reads. Instead, your logic is going to be on the server side. So here we've got a group with a name, and then we have some criteria to add. 97 default criteria are built into Jamf Pro, and you can then extend these as well. And these are all items that we can use to add to a smart group, to add to our scope. So typical kind of smart group might be like this. So and the logic kind of is as it reads. So if the Mac does not have Firefox, or it has Firefox and it's not like version 4901, then it will fall into the group. Got 2 Macs there. And we can see that the data on the server is 33 minutes old. So it's not too old, but we know it's got some valid data there. And it's fell into the group because it's got version 51, which is quite a bit different to Munki with the comparisons. So basically, we've said to Jamf, I want to know of all the machines that have got Firefox installed and it's not version 49. So therefore, because this is version 51, it's in the group. It's exactly what we've told it. By default, the inventory collection will only look for things within applications. And it uses the CF bundle short version string. So if there is anything else outside of that, then we might have to kind of change things how we're collecting them. You can also tell Jamf to collect fonts and plugins, but the trouble is with this, as you do it, it bloats your MySQL database, causes problems, and eventually kind of MySQL has a little bit of a sad, oh, it's gone. So I mentioned before about the defaults, the default location, the default kind of information it pulls in. So this is where people would leverage their extension attributes. So this is an application here, and we're actually going to be reading in the CF bundle version, not the short bundle version, for this application. So once you've got your smart group, you've got your scope, you know the machines that you're going to deliver it to, it's looking at how you're going to deliver this. So we go into a policy. And there's a lot of options in policies. The way that kind of you would navigate this would be top down and left to right. So you go options and make sure you set all your options up and then what's in the pane in the right, and then you go across the top. So there's things like categories, which some of us might not bother with. Some of us might get annoyed that they don't bother with it.
Yes, Ben.
Yeah, in naming convention, we've got triggers as well, which again is a little bit different to what you might see with Munki. But for this, we're going to look at kind of what the kind of standard thing you would do for this, which is your recurring check-in and your execution frequency being ongoing. We'll make sense of this hopefully in a sec. Because at the end, once we've done this, once we've installed the software, we're going to update the inventory. So really, with a lot of Jamf stuff, you would have a group that says, if this machine does not have this, then it comes into the group. You install the item you're looking for, you update the inventory, and it falls out of the group. You reprovision a machine, or it comes out of line somewhere, it's going to basically remediate and bring it back in. Within the scope, so we've got the smart group we created, we can also add limitations based on where the machine is, based on network segments, so there's a lot of network intelligence there. For example, you might have an extension attribute that looks to see if the machine can communicate with AD, but then you wouldn't try and bind to AD if they're not on site. So you kind of build that logic in there as well. And then you can exclude machines as well. The kind of, if you're one of those people that likes to delete keychains that log out, and then suddenly the CEO, CIO gets you might decide to exclude their machine. We can add self-service, a bit like Managed Software Center, kind of your own app store as well. One of the differences here is because we've got this big policy, we can add multiple payloads, we can add scripts, we can add maintenance tasks, and you can add quite a complex thing that's just hidden behind a button for a user. And then we get some user interaction. Now these are basically just little notifications. So you get one that goes at the beginning of the policy and one that's at the end. Unfortunately, these fire off when the button's hit on the policy, regardless of actually the result. So whilst we like the idea of this, it's a built-in macOS notification mechanism, we'd rather it only say install successfully when it actually has. And then, because this is all kind of built around the server and the logic, and it's all triggered from the server and the client, we then get a nice log as well, saying where it's downloaded it from. So again, with that network intelligence, you could have multiple servers, and it could say it's pulled it from here, and this is the process that's gone through. And if we check our client again, oh look, Firefox 49. So Jamf's done exactly what we've told it to do. And this is one of the things where people can sometimes get into difficulty. If you know what you're doing with it, and you keep on top of these smart groups, it's fine. However, it's quite easy to downgrade applications, but then you bring people into your desired state. It depends on if it's... Some people see it as a feature, some people say it's a burden. We just see it as a workflow, and it's just something you need to be aware of. You'll also notice there's been no blocking applications so far. It just does the install. Yeah, you're using Firefox, you quit Firefox, you reopen it, you're now using that version that's just been deployed. So let's look at automation. Of course, AutoPkg. So this is the icons for the GUI app, but obviously there's AutoPkg the command line. Is Tim here? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
I mean, just to say as well, we thank Tim, we thank Greg for Munki and AutoPkg. There was other people involved as well. These guys just happened to be some of the more vocal in those areas. So go the noisy ones. No, thank you. So very, very, very quick thing about AutoPkg, and a very simplistic way of looking at it. It will download an item. It will then package it up as needed. And it then uploads it to the systems, be it for that Munki, be it for Jamf, or Firewave. There's a few other integrations as well. So all that manual stuff that we've just bored you with for the past 10 minutes, just let AutoPkg do it for you. It's, Anyone here not using AutoPkg? Anyone here going to try it later, tomorrow? Okay, we've got half a yes. That's all right. That's about 50% of the people with hands up. But honestly, please, just give it a go. Okay, now onto Jamf patch. Before we get to patch, what we're going to do a quick comparison between some of the differences between Munki and Jamf. So the logic. Like I said, so the approach for Munki, you're going to have client-side logic. You've got your package info that has the details of where to install stuff. With Jamf, it's all driven by the policy and the items within. Frequency. How often does the client contact the system? Well, with Munki, again, these are the defaults. Munki is like every 60 minutes that's randomized. And with Jamf, it's every 15. And this can make a difference because when we look at the inventory side of things. Now, inventory doesn't quite have it's more of a Jamf term, but basically, before Munki runs, and after Munki runs, it will basically do a check of what's installed. Then it kind of does its actions, and then it does a check again to make sure that things are reported as it would see them. So it's not quite a Munki term, but it's difficult to compare without trying this. With Jamf, it only happens after the event. So generally in a policy, you would add a recon, and it's right at the end, which can be a bit interesting, but then because it contacts the system so regularly, you're generally within 15 minutes. And the kind of people installing stuff that's they shouldn't be them in the smart group because of, it's quite rare because of the frequency in which they contact the system. Blocking apps. Munki knows this. Jamf, no, with a star, because if you're using managed app distribution, deploying your apps through VPP, there is a whole kind of not now thing. I think the device sends when it's trying to install, so there is something there. But we're not going to talk about VPP, MDM and stuff, because that's a bit out of the wheelhouse of what Jamf can do compared to Munki. Verification, they both verify the downloaded items. You can both disable it if you want, which not a good idea, but they will both do some verification on there. And the notifications, so how does how the user kind of know that stuff's ready to be installed? With Munki, you've got Manage Software Center, and then you've got Munki Status, the login window when it's being installed. I know there's other ways of doing these as well, the same with Jamf, but some of the basics. Yeah, like I said, with Jamf for Notification Center. And the star was the point I was making about it, just telling you at the beginning, at the end of a policy, regardless. Network intelligence. So this kind of is, you're on this office, so you download your packages from here. There are ways and means of doing this with Munki, but kind of, it's again by default, we're kind of saying no for this. But with Jamf, you've got the whole network segment thing where it's basically, oh, you're in this office, then you get your resources from here, and you're there, you get your resources from there. Triggers. So when do we want to trigger these events? In your general day-to-day with Munki, it does have triggers, but they're generally not applicable because if it can't do something at that moment, it will wait till it can do it. You might get notifications to do it at logout, but it doesn't have the same kind of triggers that Jamf have where you can say, right, you install a startup, you install a logout, you install a login. It's a completely different way of working with these. And version comparison. Currently, Jamf is doing string comparison, so it's like 4901, which is where 5101 kind of is not like it, so therefore you install 4901, that kind of example. And Munki will do integer. It does other things, but generally just to, again, I mean, we could have gone on this subject and probably spent a whole day doing a workshop and really, really, really bored you. So we're just trying to keep it quick and snappy. So let's look at patch. It's coming in Jamf Pro 10. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of imagery and stuff out for it. When we said we'd do this talk, like summer or whenever it was, we hoped more information would be out. And you guys are Jamf users, you know that there's not a great deal out at the moment. So I've had to come up with my own way of explaining how it's going to work. And some of these I spoke to Team Argon, got some stuff that might be... well, Jamf had for us to explain this. Some of it might have come through some of the videos before, but we're just going to try and put together a picture of how patch is going to work. So through your JSS, you're going to subscribe to a patch title, a little map. That's going to have directions as well, not just where to get the patch from, the version number, it's also going to have instructions of how to package up the software as well. And that's going to be packaged by Patch Packager. So it puts the treasure in a little chest. See? Logical? Okay. Patch Packager is going to be like a Jamf infrastructure manager role. It's going to be like a little VM or something that can run on Unix. I don't know about Windows, but I know I did ask about Unix. And then that will package the item up for you, and then it will upload it to your JSS. I think that's the JSS. When this process happens, the admin will get a notification that the title that you subscribe to, so you say, right, Google Chrome, you'll get an email notification or a notification in Jamf saying, oh, there's a new version of Google Chrome uploaded ready for you. I mean, if you've used AutoPkg with its JSS importer kind of integration, it's kind of similar in that way, but there's other areas that Jamf are kind of taking this. So, there's going to be patch policies. So with patch, when we looked at the policy, there was all that big heap of options, your list of things. I mean, you want to update a computer name when you install Firefox, or stuff that really doesn't need to be there, that kind of clutters the system up. So Jamf, the patch policies that are going to be auto-generated are going to be slimmed down just for patch. You're also going to be able to select a test group to automate the deployment to. And then you're also going to have automated timed promotion to production. The idea of this with Jamf is not to go completely straight from your patch packager to upload to your JSS to go out to your clients. They want you to have this testing phase, and they're trying to ease in how this is going to work. I know people seem to say that Jamf doesn't have the testing mechanism. Well, we saw the smart groups, we saw the scoping. You can quite easily build in smart groups on there. You can have a test group, you build your smart group criteria, and then add that to the criteria. You have a smart group, and you can build it out and then remove them as you need and things like that. But Jamf are actually going to put a proper workflow in there, a proper way of doing it. You also have different deployment options. Do you install automatically? Do you just make available through self-service? And part of this is also coming in is going to be blocking applications. So is Firefox running? Yep, well then we can't install Firefox. One more slide of this as well. So it would have been nice for images, but we'll get there. And the good thing is, if I'm wrong, remember this is kind of, I'm talking about pre-beta stuff that we've just got an NDA lifted to talk about some of these things. Don't blame me if I'm wrong.
The icons are correct, though.
The icons are correct.
There are contributions.
They are totally on point, yeah. So we're going to get integer comparison. So what that means is, we're going to have the option in a policy to also block the downgrade. So you import Firefox, again, 51, someone's running 52 for some reason, then it won't install on their machine. And it's going to automate that process. Again, different kind of terminology than what you might be used to for using Munki, but kind of overcoming different challenges because the products work in different ways. The main thing as well, again, coming in a different way, when you speak to the guys involved in this, the Team Argon, this is supposed to be easy for Jamf admins. So if you've got a Jamf, for instance, if you're new to the suite, the idea is this should be easy for you to enable and configure and set up. So it's going to make sense if you're a Jamf admin. Might be all this confusion with me talking about patch titles, patch reporting, patch policies, blah, 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 blah. It's good saying a P word when you've got a handheld mic as well. But yeah, it's overall the user experience and stuff is to be simple. It's meant to be simple. This will also work alongside your normal policies. So policies could be generated with AutoPkg and a JSS importer. Could be policies you're doing yourself. It's just another addition in there. And what is coming as well, there's going to be community-generated patch titles, a bit like AutoPkg recipes. There are some other differences, but more. I mean, as Jamf mature, more will come out on there.
Cool. Okay, thanks, Ben. So our problem here was not Ben, at least not today. Looking at these tools, we have AutoPkg and we've got Patch Packager and all the other bits and pieces. Now, this is fine on a one-to-one relationship, like one JSS for these products, or one Munki instance or one Munki repo. Where we come from, unfortunately, we have got quite a few customers, and we also have quite a lot of packages. So if we were to, again, looking at our distribution points and stuff that we have in our data center, if the top bar is basically what we currently have, and below is what we're going to have once we dedupe. So remove all that generic content, okay? So it's about for us being more efficient with all this as well.
So that's 1.92 terabytes of data used across 30 odd PPs, I think, for people that've got macOS. And it will, if we look at get rid of the generic content, so your Office 2016 installers, your Adobe installers, etc., it gets it down to just above 500 gig.
So that's quite a saving. And obviously with this, the more stuff we're throwing into our JSSs, we're trying to scale these out, things are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And obviously this comes and uses more resources cost more money, and this is a bad place to be. So times that by 70, 80, 100 JSSs, and we've got ourselves a bit of a problem. So what did we do? Okay, so this little man's been locked in a cupboard for a very long time with a lot of coffee. Yes, so we've come up with the logical progression, really. We've taken the best of all of these products, okay? There is no one product that is the best. Together they are, they make a really, really strong team. So we've taken Jamf, AutoPkg, Munki, and a bit of JamJar, and our team of marketing experts took 7 months to come up with the name of JamJar. Thank you. And we even came up with some beautiful text that you can provide to your boss as well. Management love these words. If you have a bingo card, you can strike them off one by one. Look at this stuff. What does it do? It does big words. Brilliant. We love big words. We love big words.
We know words. We have the best words.
We know words. We have the best words.
Actually, James, we were running through this yesterday, and James was like, "That's really well written and all that." And I was like,
those words.
he says, "Oh, that's great." And he goes, "That's really good." And I was like, "I'm taking the mick. That's a joke. That's buzzword bingo." And he's gone, "I love it."
Yeah, but
and I was like, "Oh yeah, but you're a director." So, yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so because there's also been a lot of help coming our way, we've decided to give something back, and we are going to open source this as well. So thank you. So all the hard work that we've put in, we're going to make it freely available to all of you to use to make your lives simpler as well. So it's all good. Cool. To you.
Thank you. Now, we're not the only people that have kind of approached this in a different way. You've got Chris's D3. There you go. And Marco, who's next door, his Manana project. I'm really happy that Marco's next door because the Q&A will be shorter. And I told him this, so it's fine. I'm not just sneaking in, although he did threaten to come in towards the end. So, yeah, we're not the first people to kind of walk this path. It's just that the way in which we work, when you look at the data, the generic content, etc., certain things that we cherry-picked that we liked from Munki, I'm using the buzz terms now, that kind of, we're chucking from Jamf. Yeah, and the synergy.
Yeah.
We shifted the paradigm. Right, anyway. So what is JamJar? Okay, there's kind of three parts to it. There's a post-flight script. There's a script that you would run from Jamf Pro. And then you've got an extension attribute. How does it kind of work? Well, generally a client will have its manifest, shopping list available in a Munki repo. So every time it kind of contacts the Munki repo, it will then pull down the latest version and then do all of its checks, etc. But they can also be local, what's called a local-only manifest. And the idea of a local-only manifest is something that is kind of maintained outside of Munki almost, maybe. Or at least that seems to be the typical usage for these. So how does this kind of, again, look? So we have AutoPkg feeding a Munki repo, our Munki repo in the cloud. This is doing the co-signature verification checks, the virus total checks, all of the good stuff to bringing the content into Munki. Then on the client, we have Jamf installing Munki, configuring it with a configuration profile, installing the JamJar post-flight, and that is also being managed by a configuration profile. And then we're kind of ready to go. Now, one of the things with Jamf, we can create these smart groups, and because it's like server-side intelligence, if you add a machine to a smart group and then remove it, the client has no idea. It's all the server-side. So we wanted something that was adding and removing from manifest, but not permanently. So we had to kind of do this merry little dance working with Jamf on this. So we run a script from the JSS on the client. It then adds Chrome to the manifest, the local only one, runs Munki. Munki, hopefully this time it's contacting the repos, pulling down Chrome, it installs it, our post-flight runs, removes it from our manifest. Because we've had an item change, it then does an inventory. So what happens is now, the machine has got Munki on there, but with nothing in the manifest, because Jamf has just gone, there you go, install it. We've got the policy log of what's happened, then it removes. I mean, we get folks who would say one day, please add these 5 machines to this group and update Chrome. And then the next day, they might say, please remove them from that group. And then the next day, they might say, please add them to the group. So we wanted something a bit flexible where we could easily add and remove. But with this as well, we also wanted to kind of, notifications were a big thing of this. So, for example, when the post-flight runs, and it realizes that Chrome's been installed, it brings up a notification. Chrome 56 thing has been installed. And this, the default is to trigger it through Jamf's management action, which is like the self-service kind of terminal notify thing. If they've run it via self-service, so we know the self-service is running at the time, and they click the button, the post-flight will then see, and if it goes, they've already got Google Chrome up to date, they then get a notification that Google Chrome's up to date. So it's done more of that UX bit with that. If you're running it via a normal policy and they haven't got self-service open, they won't know, because we don't want to bug them if they're just working away. And then, because I'm lazy, if there's any blocking apps or an app that requires a restart action, etc., I just ask them to log out. which then triggers Munki status to do its nice thing, and you can optionally block that stop button. If they're still working on the Mac, they get the logout notification, and then they quit Chrome, and Munki happens to run during its usual hourly run, because it's still got the manifest in there, because the item's there, because it hasn't been removed yet. Then they'll get a notification that Google Chrome has been installed, and then a nice little notification that no updates are pending. So it's more that UX thing. Now, I know that there is a thing on the Munki Wiki about why no notification center support, and you see I've kind of had to add in a load of options and do a merry little dance to make these things happen. So yeah, I can see why now, having done it. But yeah. So how does this work? Well, with this, I can't remember. Can't actually remember the guy's actual name, but Bockhoven. There he is, the gentleman who wrote Munki Report. We use that for our Munki customers, and so thank you. And I was looking at how the information was being put into there, and we had a couple of conversations on this. And basically, every time Munki runs, when it's doing that, we said the inventory before, for want of a better term, it generates a managed install report. And this plist itself contains all of the information. Sorry.
No huge plist.
Yeah. So this managed installs report, there we go, contains the information of what Munki found. So if machines, Mac's running this version of Firefox, this version of Chrome, etc. And remember, this happens before kind of Munki does its installs and afterwards as well. So it's going to be very good, up-to-date information. And then what happens is the post-flight, the JamJar post-flight runs afterwards. So it ends up grokking the managed install report and going, okay, so you're in installed items, installed results, and you're in the manifest, so therefore you've been installed. So what I'm going to do is give the notification and delete from the manifest. It's just a kind of little dance like that, where you're managing it with the post-flight. This also means that we can run the Jamf policy, and if the machine has got blocking apps, etc., we know that we've instructed it to install the latest version of such and such app, and Munki, we've handed off the job to Munki, and Munki with its logic and its intelligence is then going to go and do it when it's right, when the machine's available to do it. Same thing. Every time this runs as well, JamJar, the post flight has a little log in jamjar.log, which rotates nightly, which is why you've got the date on there as well, and it tells you how many items were installed, removed, pending, and how many warnings. So the managed install report has a great amount of information, and essentially I just pinched the idea from Bockhoven, managed Munki report, and I think Graham does that in SAL as well. I don't know where Graham is. Oh, it's right behind. There you go. Cool. Full house. Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing. I mean, the information's already there, and this is the important thing. When I spoke to Greg and a few people about this madness journey I was going to do, I think I confused them a little bit with what I was trying to achieve. But the main thing, one of the main goals for me was not to break Munki, not to change Munki. This just use the mechanisms that are already there and kind of try and do something outside of. Now, there's also an extension attribute as well. So we said about with Jamf, you can run scripts at inventory that pull in more information, and that just pulls in that last line for you. It's kind of optional, but it gives you an idea of when the last run was. So we get a time of when the last time the inventory for the machine was updated on the JSS. We then have a time of the last time Munki ran, because this will update every time, and then that'll give you an overview of kind of how that state is. Like I say, so here we are running the policy. So we added item Blair to installs, and before the post flight kind of does its tidy up, it says, right, contains one installs Blair, naught uninstalls, naught pending, and naught warnings. It will actually let you know what warning happens. Again, this is from managed install report, and then it advises of the warnings on there as well. So let's have a look at JamJar policy. So yeah, one of the things we were looking at with this was about the kind of the blow, the saving our resources, making things easier for ourselves. The actual policy itself really just needs that JamJar script. But what we can do as well with this, because we're using Jamf itself, we can also do things such as cache an item before we run this script. And this is where we get from having generic installers to making them installers that work for other customers. So the great one for this is actually the Adobe Creative Cloud. You can create Adobe Creative Cloud installers that are kind of generic. There is some interesting. It's just interesting how they are generic, but they are generic. It's just weird. I can bore you about that later. So we've got Adobe Creative Cloud Media 2017, and we can deploy that to all our customers. Then it depends on their license how we then license it. So if a customer has Adobe Teams, etc., where they use the app, we can just use JamJar to install the latest version of Photoshop, and they license it through the Creative Cloud desktop app. If they've got a device license or a site license or any of the other myriad of confusing options that are available with Adobe Creative Cloud, we can actually install the serializer, like the volume serializer little thing that you get from Creative Cloud. We can create a package for that and deploy that. Then what we can do within Munki, and it's actually in our AutoPkg recipes, because there is work being done for AutoPkg recipes for things like Creative Cloud, and I'm sure more testing would be wanted for that, more people to help work on that. But you can also add these kind of post-flight scripts that would run as well to install these things. But let's have a look at the script itself. So this is how it looks within Jamf. If you guys haven't seen scripts in Jamf before, you can add parameters to them, and you can give parameters labels. And we think these are quite simply written out. This is just an example of us giving the labels. So add to the managed installs on the local only manifest. Remove from managed installs. Add to uninstalls. Remove from uninstalls, and YOLO mode.
We like YOLO mode.
YOLO mode has to be set to engage, because yes and no is boring. Literally, you have to go YOLO mode, engage. I found it fun. And what that will do, that will just do Munki and call Munki and do the install only, which doesn't do any of the graceful niceties of make sure an app's blocked and what have you. It just kind of hits the button and tries to do the install. And we said about preferences, etc., and things like this, and how we can manage JamJar. If that's a post-flight script, it has its own preference domain. And what's great is so many years we've written out these preference domains, and it's com.apple.da. So we're UK. So it's I find it annoying but great at the same time that it's uk.co, then the company name. And I will take much joy in that annoying people. But yes, uk.co.datajar.jamjar. Rolls off the tongue. So what kind of settings can we set within here? So first of all, the log file directory. That's where the log goes. We've got all the different messages installed, no, pending, the title for the window, if it's up to date. And then we've got this cool thing here where it's the sender ID. And this is because we're using Terminal Notifier. And it also seems that I can send that key if we're using self-services management action, and it doesn't break anything. So that's cool. The other thing as well, when JamJar runs, it's actually going to, again, read the preference domain from Munki to see where your managed installs directory is, where this folder is, where that file is. So it's trying not, you should just really need to manage kind of this. And then there's one other key as well, which is kind of experimental. So help would be wanted with this. And it's called Munki mode. So Munki mode is the boring one, is set to true. If you want to set it to true, it won't edit the manifest. So it should just do notifications. Because I had some people expressing an interest in that. So, but I haven't got into testing that with Munki Report and SAL and how all that kind of merges in nicely. And one of the other things you can do with this, so you can change the text. You can change Terminal Notifier. You can change the icon on there. There is, I didn't get around to it, but there is a way that you can also create an AppleScript app that would kind of change the icons and things. There's a few different ways around it, but what I'd say for this, the easiest way would be take your Munki install, use Ben Goodstein's Munki rebrand, and Ben is going to be downstairs, going to be across with Marco, isn't he? Yeah, cool. Right, very cool. And what that allows us to do then, how does this change the way it looks? So these are different installs here. So we've used Munki rebrand to rebrand Managed Software Center as auto update. We've put our logo on there, and then when the notifications come in, we have it all nicely done with the name, the title that we had there, and this was our text, log out to complete. Like I said, set to log out, they quit Slack, Slack's installed, and then they've been advised that there's no updates pending. This then also works for the login window. Because you can trigger Munki to do installs at a logging window by dropping a file in place. And so when the JamJar post-flight runs, it kind of goes, is there anything pending? Yes, there is. Let's drop this one file in place. Oh, there's nothing pending. Let's remove the file. We shouldn't have added it. Now, when we send the sender ID, one of the nice things that accidentally happened is if someone clicks on notifications, it opens up Managed Software Center. It's a nice thing. So, but for us, because we've locked it down with the preferences, there's on the GitHub link that's coming up in a sec, the preferences kind of say how you might want to configure Munki, and it just locks it down just to these updates we have available in the manifest. I've realised we've gone a bit over time, haven't we?
Massively.
So the GitHub repo is just GitHub datajar/JamJar. We've got a Slack channel, JamJar as well. Honestly, we just wanted to give you guys some knowledge of how Jamf does things, how Munki does things. They've got quite a different approach, which is why the execution is different. The end result should be the same. Patches come in. Unfortunately, we don't know enough about it at the moment to show you, but to give you a bit of an overview of that and to try and explain our own madness of why we've gone to this route instead.
Thank you.